Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Public Council meeting for the City of Mount Pearl for November 3rd in the year of our Lord 2015. Good to see everybody up and at it, out and about today. First order of business would be the agenda, which you see before you. I have one sheet of paper today, which is actually something that's going to go into the regular kit, obviously, for finance, invoices for approval. Are there any other things to add to the agenda? Hearing not, I'm going to entertain a motion moved by Councillor Stoyle, seconded by Councillor Walsh. All those in favor of the agenda as presented signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, motion is carried. From the agenda, the first item would be the minutes and action report from our meeting of October 20th. The meeting of October 20th, I'll entertain a motion moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Ledwell, that the minutes be accepted as presented. Before we do the vote, any errors or omissions that are obvious to anyone in the minutes of the October 20th Public Council meeting? Errors or omissions only. Hearing none. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried. Business arising would be the next item on the agenda from the minutes of October 20th. Please reference agenda item number to any items you wish to raise. Deputy Mayor?
Your Worship, item 687. Dealing with the street upgrading along Smallwood Drive, in particular the sidewalks. I just wanted to comment on that. Director Antle and I had a walk down the sidewalks there last week, and I got to say I'm very impressed with the new design measures that are in place, the cuts that are put in, the expansion cuts and contraction cuts. It should be much easier now for our residents who are in wheelchairs or scooters or pedal bikes or anything like that, because there's fewer dips. Also, Director Antle explained some of the design. We have the concrete with the fiber mesh in it, so that'll reinforce it. The compaction, our contractor is going to test the compaction of the crushed stone to make sure that the base is properly laid down, and a good solid base will ensure long-term longevity of our sidewalks. And also, they're doing some samples of the concrete to make sure that they actually meet our standards. So all measures are being taken, and I look forward to contacting the resident who took me for a little drive on the scooter that day to show to her that we did intend to change our specs, and indeed we did. So hats off to a good job so far, and I look forward to their completion. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, looking good. Any other comment on that particular matter? Other business arising again from the minutes of October 20th? Other business arising? Hearing none, we shall move on. Proclamations, presentations. There is a proclamation today referencing World Town Day. I will read the proclamation, and I do believe Mr. Yefchek will speak to it. Is that correct? Or is anyone speaking to it? I don't really know. We don't have to. The proclamation reads, whereas November 8th has been celebrated as World Town Planning Day in many countries since 1949, and whereas the Atlantic Planners Institute, representing professional planners in Atlantic Canada, as an affiliate of the 5,000-member Canadian Institute of Planners, endorses World Town Planning Day as a day to recognize sound planning and its contribution to the quality of our communities and environment, and whereas World Town Planning Day helps us to publicly recognize the work of our municipal officials and citizens in planning for the improvement of the City of Mount Pearl. And whereas we recognize professional planners and their commitment to public service, now therefore be it resolved that Sunday, November 8th, 2015 is hereby designated as World Town Planning Day, adopted this third day of November 2015, to which I shall affix a signature. And I'm going to invite our Director of Planning and Development for the City of Mount Pearl, Mr. Yefchek. The floor is yours. World Planning Day. Do we have any plans at all this year?
Yes, Your Worship. Thank you very much. This evening, as Council is aware, we do have the Pearl Awards, which Pearl Awards actually started in celebration of World Town Planning Day. These are Urban Design Awards, and they're Garden Awards, and more recently they're the Green Lens Awards that we provide. But in addition to that, actually on Friday, the Newfoundland Labrador branch of the Atlantic Planners Institute are having a lunch hour talk on the theme of this year's World Town Planning Day, and that is housing regeneration. It's a matter of the theme has to do with new housing choices, housing redevelopments, those kind of themes. So that's a theme this year. So we are celebrating it in our way this evening, and the planners are doing it on Friday at a luncheon.
That's very good. Okay, thank you. Any comments at all, Deputy Mayor?
I'd like to comment, Your Worship, as co-chair of the Planning Committee, and I've raised this before in the chambers here, that the City of Mount Pearl is very well known for the planning that we do have. We're a very well-planned city. We have very competent staff in our planning department, and I think the success of the city has to do with the fact that we have an effective plan in place, and we adhere to that. It's constantly changing. We're always on the edge of new things. And again, highlight again that the City of Mount Pearl is used as a case study in the Canadian geography curriculum for the high school program here in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as an exemplar of a well-planned city and effective planning and zoning regulations. So we go into quite a level of detail on that. And I know our planning department has been very gracious in hosting some of our students in the past to actually show them what takes place in an urban planning office or a town planning, city planning office. So again, I just want to tip my hat to all of our staff in the planning department for the job they do for our city.
Hear, hear. Any other comment? Hearing none, we will move on. The next item, which is should have been done before this, which is item number 2, our regularly scheduled safety message. And I understand, Councillor Tessier, you have the safety message for Council today.
I do indeed.
What are we going to be talking about? Halloween is over.
Halloween is over. No, we're talking today about knowing your evacuation routes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when we go on, when we take a flight, before the flight goes into the air, we all know where the exits are. I don't know who's going to use them in the middle of the air, but you got to know where they are anyway. Mm-hmm. And I know that schools have always done an exceptional job of this with children from kindergarten right until they finish with fire drills and the like. But as adults, it's really important in any public building that we're in, and certainly in our homes as well, to have an evacuation route, to know where the exits are, especially emergency exits, because they're not always the same. Some emergency exits are just that, for emergencies only, and then you've got your main entrances that you use as well. So we're going to encourage everybody that when you go into public buildings to keep an eye out for posted evacuation exits, be them the doors that you enter and exit through normally, or the actual emergency exit doors. Look for muster stations in some places. That's a very important thing. I was in Hebron this week out on site, and you actually have to watch a safety video, and they tell you where your muster station is. It'll be pointed out. So that's what we're saying to people today. You should always have an emergency evacuation plan in place when you are in a public building, and of course for your family at home as well, in case of a fire or an emergency. One very interesting point of note, it says here if you're in a public area such as a mall, theater, or a hotel. Years ago, we were at a movie theater watching 7 Years in Tibet, and I got to tell you, it felt like 7 years in the movie theater, but that's another story. That's another story.
This is the movie critic coming out in you now.
Gosh. But there actually was a fire alarm. And I think there actually was a fire. And so we all exited out through those doors that you see the attendants go through to the sides of the screen. And it took us out to the outside part of the mall, and it was really weird because you just couldn't really get your bearings with where you were. But we were outside for quite some time. Mm-hmm. And not only were we outside, they wanted us accountable. Don't leave here. Don't leave and go to your car. We want to make sure that the people who are in the theater are actually accounted for outside. That's really important. That's why the movie was so long. Oh my gosh. I would not recommend it, I'll tell you that. They actually took it back a little bit, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
It was a long time ago.
Oh my!
So let's run. So,
anyway,
it's interesting. So let's run the test. Where's our muster station for here?
Our muster station is to the side. Yes.
The back door.
Yeah.
So we're talking.
Yeah.
You're talking the gazebo area.
Yeah.
The parking lot over there. Okay.
But we'll see them. We see muster station signs around the city.
Yes.
We see them.
Yes.
And I remember when I first started seeing them, when they first started popping up. Well, what is that? What is that for? Never really got it. But of course, as we all get into a day and age of safety and accountability within the workplace, you see them and you know what they're for. So it's again, never a bad thing, always a good thing to know where your emergency exits are when you're in a public place, and of course at home have an evacuation plan in case of fire.
Very wise counsel indeed. I do find in these hotels, or when you're in strange office buildings and stuff, that's when you have a tendency to get confused or lost.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't, around here, I kind of know where you kind of know where to go because you've been around for a long time. It's in these, you're in new buildings you haven't been in before. The new Fortis building, and you're on the 12th floor. right? And your first time ever there, and a bell rings, you don't really know what to be doing. Anyway, thank you for that. We are going to move into committee reports. Our first committee is Corporate and Community Services. Councillor Stoyles.
We have invoices for approval. We have a nice green sheet today. And,
Green for money.
Green for money, yep. And the invoice for approval is $1,425,669.97, and I so move.
Invoices for approval listed 1 to 18, 1.425 million. It is moved and seconded by Councillor Ledwell. Any questions on any of the invoices as presented?
Just want to mention, Your Worship, two of the biggest items there, two of them were Campio Gymnastics facility that I noted, and the other one, I guess the other high one, is the water consumption.
Yeah, the Capia building, the steel is already up. It's really coming quickly, isn't it?
Around, yeah.
It's really coming around quickly. Yeah, really, really good.
It's looking good.
We will call the question.
Yes.
No one else has any inquiries? All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried.
Next item is a low-income earner, and the number is there in the amount of $1,383.50, and I so move.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Ledwell. Tax deferral for low-income earner. The roll number is all that we generally identify at this point. We will call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
And the next one, Your Worship, is professional development for the Deputy Mayor to attend the ABC conference in New Orleans on November the 18th to the 21st under our professional development budget, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All those in favor? Contrary minded? Carried.
Tag team.
I'm tagging in.
Councillor Ledwell.
Our next item, Your Worship, is, of course, our Remembrance Day ceremony, which is coming up on November 11th, 2015. Naturally, for the information of the public, this ceremony is going to happen once again this year at the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 36, down on Park Avenue. Of course, we'll be paying tribute to all of those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can be free and enjoy the quality of life that we enjoy today. We're going to have a parade, of course, that will travel from the Church of the Ascension down Smallwood Drive. The parade will start at 10 a.m. And then, of course, the ceremony will occur at 10:55 a.m. at the Cenotaph in front of the Legion there at Park Place, and certainly want to encourage as many members of the public to come down and pay tribute with us.
Okay.
Our final item is the Remembrance 11K Run. This is not the parade, of course. This is a totally different thing, but it is an event that's going to be going on in the city of Mount Pearl on Wednesday, November 11th. It's going to be starting at the trail intersection on Commonwealth Avenue across from Piper's. It won't be going down towards the Legion. It will be going in towards Donovan's on the T-Railway system there. Run organizers have support assistance from Municipal Enforcement, the RNC, St. John Ambulance, and Rovers, of course, Search and Rescue. The event is scheduled to start at 8 a.m. and it'll be a 2-hour time frame. So that's just for the information of the public that event is happening on Wednesday, November 11th. And that concludes our report.
Thank you, sir, very much. Councillor Tessier, yes. Go right ahead.
I believe it was last year. I'm not sure if it was Remembrance Day or Memorial Day, but there were runners on the trailway right next to the Park Place parking lot.
Yep.
And it was disruptive because they didn't realize, probably, I'm sure they didn't, because I don't think anybody would have intentionally done it, but they were quite loud, cheering each other on, encouraging each other to come on, and wreaths were being laid, and it was a very honorable occasion.
A bad mix. It was a bad mix.
Truly. So I just want to make sure that any kind of organized run like this happening on Memorial Day or Remembrance Day, that we really do need to avoid that area of our city, because it was just disruptive and it was uncomfortable, I guess, for lack of a better word.
This one
Yep.
ends at 10
Yeah.
and doesn't
Yeah.
go past Park Place.
Yeah.
This one goes the opposite direction. And of course, hopefully what we're going to experience on the 11th is our last wreath laying ceremony at the Cenotaph at Park Place. It's anticipated that our next wreath laying ceremony will actually occur at St. David's. Our fingers are crossed, but because that's the July 1 one, and certainly the we can say this comfortably. I think we can say this is the last November 11th Memorial Day. that we will commemorate at the site where we are presently. I think we can say that with comfort and assurance. But if we could be at the new site for July 1, I think we all would desire that to happen if possible. But it is shrouded in great doubt from the point of view of timing, I think it's fair to say. Thank you for that. We are going to move on to Infrastructure Public Works. Councillor Aker.
Yeah, and on that note, Your Worship, we have item number 1 here related to St. David's Park, of all things, too, and it relates to an extension for St. David's Park, and as well as the construction of the new gymnastics facility. Council, these are funded under a 2012-14 multi-year top-up program. Oh my God, that's a mouthful. With the Department of Municipal and Intergovernmental Affairs. These projects are taking a little bit longer. We're trying to make sure that we, at St. David's, basically, through our consultation process with the Legion, that we get that right. As you can see, project completion August 2016, so in all likelihood, Your Worship, we may be doing the Memorial Day back at Park Place for 1 more year. But with the date there, August 16, we'll also be in a position that, I guess, as you said, Remembrance Day will be held at the new cenotaph, or the relocated cenotaph at St. David's. The other one is related to the construction of the new gymnastic facility. I think the delay there was primarily to do with getting the tenders right and getting the financing in place, both for us as well as Campia. Project numbers 12272 and 12273, and I move that we allow the CAO and staff to approach Municipal Affairs to present the extension.
Moved by Councillor Aker, seconded by Councillor Tessier. Question or comment? All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Item number 2 is a change order related to that Campia gymnastics facility. The original contract is $3,610,000. Lindsay Enterprises is doing the work, and there's a couple of change orders there. I should say 3, Your Worship. Items 2, 3, and 4. First one is to remove the existing Donovan's Business Park sign near the site entrance, and then also to install 3,500 square feet of carpet in the gymnasium, as well as some architectural rendering related, I believe, to the above. The total is $16,041.30. And I would note on the flooring, there's a credit coming through Committee of the Whole tonight, which will more than offset not only the $13,000, but more than offset the $16,000 change order here, and that'll be coming, I guess, to our public meeting in 2 weeks' time. And I so move.
Moved and seconded. A question, if I might, Mr. Antle, I'm assuming would probably have the answer, Councillor Aker, though you might as well. The Donovan's Business Park sign is the last Donovan's Business Park sign that we had. I think the other one was removed, right, some time ago, when we did the thing down by the Centura building, I think. I don't know. Is that still there, that one? So what's going to happen? We're going to dispose of this sign. Does that mean we have a plan for a new sign, or what are we doing?
Your Worship, Donovan's Business Park is a project the Council has approved. The Phase 1 under our multi-year capital works was a $3 million project. We haven't advanced the design details on that, but the anticipation was that we would be improving signage throughout Donovan's in that project with a new and modernised signage. So this sign is an old sign and is right at the entrance to the gymnastics facility. The intention was to remove it and not replace it there.
But we will put a sign up for Donovan's Business Park at some point, somewhere.
At some point in the Donovan's Business Park overall project for upgrading.
Yeah, can I file a complaint now? Coming down Kenmount Road, there's a sign that annoys me. A great big green highway sign. And it says Donovan's Industrial Park still. Can we get that changed? Can we ask someone to change it? Well, we can't take it down. It's a highway sign. Yeah, you take it down. Okay, I just wondered about that. That's all. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Ager, do we call the question on this?
Please,
all those in favor?
Yeah.
Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Yeah, and I echo what Director Antle was saying. I think that sign may have been placed there in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
It's very old.
It's
so
old. It's definitely
recycling of that sign is not going to provide any value, I think, for the city, and it certainly would not necessarily be in keeping with the rebranding that we're going to be doing with.
But in that rebranding, I would like people who are going into Donovan's Business Park to see some nice signage that says "Welcome to Donovan's Business Park," or however we're going to do that somewhere down the road. You know, and just from a branding perspective, it's still the largest business park in the province, and all that good stuff. And to Councillor Walsh's argument about all of this for the last couple of years on our reinvestment in our business park, I think it points to that branding piece that needs to happen. Anyway, thank you for that.
Item number 3 is a request for a change order related to the Municipal Avenue upgrading project. Essentially, the water main infrastructure along that come down Maple Street and Billard Avenue is coming from Park Avenue is dead-ended, and this can result in water quality issues. And I guess basically where we're in the middle of doing the upgrade, the engineers, I guess, have noticed this. This infrastructure is probably very, very old, and it's a good thing they caught it now. We want to approve a change order, please, for $86,399.80, which will basically link the two water mains coming down both those streets. And I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a no-brainer.
Moved, seconded. Any question or comment other than whenever you can get rid of a dead end, it's a good thing to do.
It's within budget too, as well.
And it's still within budget. Any comment? Did you? None. Okay. Call the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
Number 4 is a change order as it relates to the next phase of the Integrated Transportation Study, RCO number 3, and this basically is for $56,104.50, and that will cover off our next phase, which will include traffic counts, detailed traffic control, intersection assessments, and the preparation, and what those engineers like to do, prepare and submit all associated reports. I'm just reading from the script. $56,104.50, but you're going to see a real strong assessment, Your Worship and Council, done of every intersection we have in the city, of the controllers, the hardware, and I guess the software that's in place, with the emphasis on improving safety and making sure that those intersections remain safe for years to come. And I so move.
Moved and seconded. What's the time frame on this work now? When does this study get finished?
This is engineering work, so this will occur practically immediately, and it'll be occurring over the next number of months for the winter as they do. A lot of the focus of this will be assessing our timing sequences at the intersections, so we can actually have a proper record of what the sequences are.
Yes, boy, because an awful lot of people tell me they're not right. I bet every one of you get it, right?
Yeah.
We all hear it, right? That they're not right. Right? Okay, that's good. Are not right. We're going to call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded, motion is carried. Councillor Tessier?
Councillor Aker just actually reached out to actually physically tag me out.
Tag you're it.
Tag I'm in. We just got some project updates to let you know about. The 2015 pavement marking program is done for the year. What can be painted has been painted on our streets for this year. So, of course, it won't take too long. Hopefully not too long before the snow is melted and we're looking at getting it all
We're looking
brightened
at
up again.
no markings on the streets anyway.
Well, start them again. That's right. The 2015 asphalt and concrete repair program is ongoing. It's 98% complete with some curb, gutter, sidewalk replacement and repairs happening, some asphalt grinding and patching that's taken place on multiple streets throughout the city. Right here it says approximate completion date of October 30th. Of course, that's passed. Asphalt plants are still open, though, I assume, although it's getting pretty cold now. So while that's happening, I guess we're going to continue on with our work. With our multi-year capital works storm remediation project, stormwater remediation project, some storm sewer laterals to various properties in the Park Avenue area are transferring some pumps currently connected to the system, to the storm sewer system, and that is actually completed, so we're happy about that. That's the best thing about this time of year. Things get done, we get to say completed. We're done now. 2nd Street and Windsor Place, the upgrading of the sanitary storm and or water systems have been done. Some concrete has been removed, replaced, some gutter and sidewalk work, resurfacing of asphalt has been completed. Right now we have our base coat down. We are anticipating putting the surface coat down in 2016. That's fair to say? Base coat is down though and done. Yes. No. But we can do that. We can do that. That's something that routinely happens, throughout the course of the city.
Actually, I think it's required, isn't it? Your base code
some
has
time,
to
yeah.
set.
Yeah.
And it takes months. Yep.
Yeah. 3rd Street and Wilcox Place, again, same kind of work that's happening. The surface court asphalt and deficiencies are expected to be completed in 2016. So again, the base coat is down, but the surface coat is expected to be done next year. Under our Building Canada Fund for Pumphrey Crescent and Princeton Avenue, some upgrading has been done with the storm and the sanitary and the water systems. Some concrete curb and gutter work has been done, and some sidewalk and resurfacing of asphalt has been done. We're looking at a completion date of November 20th, so that work is still got a little bit left to do, but right now we're at 90% complete. Municipal Avenue Phase 1, the installation of new concrete curb, gutter, and sidewalks, some installation of new catch basins. We've been removing and replacing some of the exiting storm sewer outfalls and removal of existing asphalt and placement of new granulars and asphalt, and of course reprofiling of some of the ditches and all associated work, and we're looking at a completion date of December 2015. But we're going to be seeing a lot of work happening down in this area, so we'll see lots of updates coming through for Municipal Avenue over the next year for sure. The 2015 asphalt concrete repair program, curb, gutter, sidewalk replacement, repairs and work are being done, asphalt grinding, all the same kind of repairs are taking place throughout the city. We're at 90% complete, and of course right now it says October 30th, or right here as well, but again, I guess as long as the asphalt plants are open, we're going to continue on. So you see again with the roads, some asphalt repairs are going to continue again until the plants close. Curb and sidewalk work, of course, will be ongoing until we are forced to stop, I'm sure, by weather. Our parks and fields are continually being maintained. Bridge repairs are happening. Riverbank cleanup. Water and sewer. Our hydrant flushing is continuing. We're cleaning out catch basins, of course, very important for this time of year. Leak detection and repairs are ongoing, and we know how important that is. We've found how many leaks, and we've repaired how many? We discussed at our last meeting. I can't remember the numbers offhand.
Over 100 leaks we found. We got about half of them.
Yeah, that's right. So that's a really important program for us, and we're really proud of that. And of course, our winter maintenance of our snow clearing equipment is taking place, and we're all getting ready for the cold stuff.
For the reality.
We're all getting ready for the reality that is going to follow. Very sad. We're very sad. Sad day.
Councillor Aker, then Councillor Stiles, or defer to Councillor Stiles.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Aker. What I was wondering is Windsor Place and Pumphrey Avenue and some of the streets that we've done this year. I'm just wondering about the private driveways, because when we go in and do a neighbourhood, of course we disturb, and especially Windsor Place specific, I mean, because the water line went through a large number of properties. I'm just wondering, I know...
Did they get there? Are we done?
If we got everybody done, and the private properties and the lands that was still up, I know Windsor Place is mostly done. I don't know if it's all completed, but I know up on Burgess Avenue, I know there's a section up there that wasn't done the past few days anyway. And I'm just wondering if we're going to get all that work done, especially on private property, where we sometimes cut the driveway and do damage and stuff like that. We're going to get all that done and not wait until 2016. That's my question.
Our understanding is that the work on private property that is required to be done is done.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yes.
Any deficiencies that might be there, we'll do those
Yeah.
throughout this fall.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question is for the director. I probably should know the answer to this, but if the plants close tomorrow, and I know you can only predict that like if you could predict the weather, but if the plants close tomorrow based on this report, we're sitting in a pretty good position, I guess, subject to, well, the commentary came in positive about the driveways. Is Team Gushu really that paving job down there? Is that the main one that's at risk if the plants were to close, I'll just say sooner rather than later?
It's a possibility if plants close early. It's unlikely given our normal climate this time of the year. As long as there's other projects in the region that are bigger than ours, which there are, they'll keep those plants open. It's a winterization cost for a plant operator to keep it winterized, to keep it going. They'll go as pretty much to below freezing temperatures even in the daytime. The concern is our construction activity. We don't want to have the ground frozen. Team Gushu is the biggest project we have. We are looking at getting base course on that one part of that parking lot within the next couple of weeks. If weather holds, we'll get base course on both parking lots that are identified at Team Gushu. The one that I'm more concerned about is Municipal Avenue, getting the base course that we need there for a driving surface. Team Gushu is not always used as much as what Municipal Avenue will be used throughout the winter. So that's our bigger concern.
Question, Your Worship, as well.
Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Tessier mentioned about the line painting or the pavement marking program. I know we did discussed when Councillor Walsh and I were on IPW. Are we still looking into perhaps some in-house line painting? We said we would investigate that to look at sort of the cost-benefit analysis, because we all know how the pavement washes away. But if we get a nice day that's dry and above freezing, we may be able to get around and touch up some of the problem areas. In particular, Donovan's Business Park is what is highlighted. A lot of people complain about disappearing lines there. So I know we did mention it at committee level there perhaps last year. Just wondering if that's any further, if that's something that the committee is looking at or intends to look at.
It's something that we continue to look at, because there's always options about in-house versus external, depending on the costing we receive. I expect we'll have another consideration again at our budget discussion for 2016 to look at that opportunity. I would like to point it out to the council as well that we've done through the pavement marking this year. Thermoplastic is the first time we've tried it in our city. We've tried a centerline marking down through Sagona. You'll notice going into Donovan's, we've got the centerline extended maybe a few hundred meters. And we want to see how that performs, because we believe the centerline will actually perform probably better than some of the stop bars where traffic instead of tires are on. So it would be interesting to see. That particular line, Deputy Mayor, is the one that we always notice we lose in Donovan's pretty early. So it's a thermoplastic now, so we'll see how that performs.
And to that point, if I may,
Councillor Tessier?
and I guess this will probably end the discussion, will it not?
It will.
Okay, is that okay with everybody? Everybody's good?
I wasn't going to tell them.
Okay, sorry. To that point, thermoplast can generally sometimes be patched. Is that correct? So if we see that thermoplast, whereas the other line marking can fade away or disappear altogether, the thermoplast may not go altogether. It can be repaired with patching, so there still may be evidence of the work on the pavement. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see how it holds up.
It will. Thank you. I'm looking at this and I'm going, whoa, this is the very last of planning, right? Planning it is. Councillor Walsh?
I'll handle the first couple, and I'm just biting at the bit to get at there, Your Worship. So that's why I was, and I know that there's no header for planning in this. That's why I tried to help you out there.
I thank you for that, because I was a little lost.
Yeah, the two notices of motion, Your Worship, I'll do those, and then I'll defer to my colleague, Deputy Mayor Locke, to complete the planning report. I'm very pleased to put forth the notice that in accordance with Section 39 of the City of Mount Pearl Act 1988, take notice that in accordance with Council's public notification policy, I will at a regular meeting of Council move an amendment to the text of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 that, if enacted, will, in Section 6, General Development Standards, Section 6.16, titled Heat Pump, Air Conditioner, and External Fan, one, revise the section to address conditions relating to mini splits. The purpose of this amendment is to differentiate between the conditions for heat pumps and mini splits, and I will move that as of this date. The second notice of motion is also in accordance with Section 39 of the City of Mount Pearl Act 1988. Take notice that in accordance with Council's public notification policy, I will, at a regular meeting of Council, move an amendment to the text of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 that, if enacted, will, in Section 6, General Development Standards, Section 6.19, titled Landscaping, revise the section to include a condition that relates to the open space calculation to take into account an open space snow storage buffer immediately adjacent to a public road intersection as part of the 50% landscaping calculation, subject to there being no concern from an operational perspective and subject to Council approval. The purpose of the amendment is to include the corner lot snow storage buffers in the calculation of the 50% landscaping for the abutting interior lots. Thank you very much, Your Worship, and I'll defer now to Deputy Mayor Locke.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. The next item for us, Your Worship, is the development permit list for October the 19th to October 30th, 2015. We have 5 listed there, and I move that they be accepted as presented.
Moved, seconded. Question on any of them? All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Next item, Your Worship, the residential building construction permits for October 19th to the 30th of 2015. For this time period, they total $3,835,730, and I move that this amount be accepted as presented.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary minded, carried.
Yeah, it is pretty big, isn't it? Next are the commercial building construction permits for the same time period, October 19th to the 30th of 2015. Total for this period is $1,162,150. And again, I move that these amounts be accepted as presented.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
And that's it for planning, Your Worship.
And that concludes all committee reports. We are off to new business. Deputy Mayor.
I have one item, Your Worship, and it has to do with the Summit Centre and the signage at the Summit Centre. It's nice to see the new sign up there and look sharp during the daytime. But I had a couple of, two residents actually ask, the two sort of mini Summit Centre signs that are on the sides of the buildings, they're illuminated in nighttime, whereas the big one isn't. So they asked, was there any plan to have that big one illuminated? Because they said it sort of looks a little off that the two small ones are lit up, but the main one is not. So I didn't remember if that was something that we had intended to do, or if we were just going to leave it like the Glacier, because I don't think the Glacier is lit. So that seems to be, in accordance with what we did with the
We'll pose
Glacier.
the question to Director Collins. Director Collins, are we going to light the Summit sign?
Absolutely. The intention is to have it lit. Engineering are working with the consultant. There were some issues with hooking up the lighting, is my understanding.
Okay. Thank you. That's it. That sounds like a $10,000 statement. When you're saying there's some issues with, that's always money. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Stoyles.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a number of things this evening. First one I wanted to mention was the dedication of Bob Hillier. Attended the dedication. It was so nice to see Mr. Hillier's family come out and be there to honour Bob. He certainly played a big role in supporting facilities here in the city, and I was delighted to be there to see his name unveiled on the new volunteer centre, and his family was quite excited, and family came from away, and friends, even Neil Windsor came from Lewisport to be there, so it was certainly a great event. Also, I was at the First United Church where they had their extension started and they did completed, and it was nice to be down there and join the church in their festivities for that last Sunday evening. Also, the past week, the Chamber of Commerce had their business mixer in Donovan's, and it was a great crowd in there, and it was nice to see the Chamber doing a bunch of things. And of course, November the 20th, they're going to be doing the Best in Business Awards here at the Reed Centre, so looking forward to that. Also wanted to say a big thank you to Dan Maher. Dan came and did training with the AED defibrillator here with a number of council members, and took about an hour, and it was great. We have a number of those in our facility, and even though you can look at it and read, but it's nice to be able to actually know what to do if you're in a situation like that. And I know we have them at all our rinks and all our businesses here in the city, but I was delighted to have the training, and thanks again to Dan. And today, Your Worship, we were at Admiralty House just 1:30 today, where we planted all tulips, and certainly delighted to be there to take part in that again. And I had two rants that I want to, when I say rants, one is the Shoppers Drug Mart on Commonwealth Avenue. Back about 4 weeks ago, I mentioned Shoppers and them coming at 5 a.m. in the morning picking up their garbage. Several residents on Bannister Street had contacted me, and even as of this morning, they contacted our staff a week ago and put another complaint in, and I think since we put the initial complaint in, they've been there 5 different times. And how many new people can they say they have and blame it on a new staff person? I think we got to start charging. If they're coming at 5 o'clock in the morning, they know they're not supposed to be there dumping and picking up garbage at 5 a.m. in the morning, waking up the residents of Bannister Street. This has gone on far too long. Back 7 or 8 years ago, it was a major problem, and it is a major problem again now, and I certainly want us to even look at giving tickets. Maybe we got to look at putting, if they're going to allow the companies to do this, we got to stop it. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is Canada Post. Canada Post announced now that they have stopped all super mailboxes, and I know I can say I told you so, but Corner Brook now is on hold, and the other communities across Canada is on hold. I don't know if they're going to ever do anything with Canada Post, if they're going to move forward with it, but they're here in our community, they're here in our region, and more than likely we're going to have them for good, and it's too bad that we didn't take a bigger stand. And I had to speak out against it at least one more time, because I felt that it was so important to the jobs here in this region. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to lay off and lay off and lay off so many people, and I know most of them are going to keep their jobs for the next 2 and 3 years, but at the end of the day, there's going to be cuts, 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 and unless the government of today is going to make changes, but we already have ours, and it's too bad.
Thank you. Councillor Walsh?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. This morning, and it was just this morning, I found out that Betty Collins had passed away, and Betty is the wife of Carson Collins. They're longtime residents of Mount Pearl. Carson was a pharmacist for many years at the Shoppers. I think Councillor Stoyles here in Commonwealth Avenue, and I think his wife had been diagnosed some time ago and was very, very ill, but a lovely family. I know the 2 girls went through O'Donnell when I was principal there, and I just wanted to pass on my condolences to the family. I also wanted to join with my colleague, Deputy Mayor Locke, to extend appreciation to our planning department. As co-chair of planning, we've been pretty fortunate in Mount Pearl to have the leadership of Mr. Yevchek for a long, long time. Now, that doesn't mean he's old, but he is anyway. But it doesn't necessarily just mean that he's old. He's also very, very good and is very, very well respected, not just in the city of Mount Pearl, but within the planning community generally, not only provincially either, but across the country. Stefan is well recognized and well respected, and of course we know that he's done a couple of stints of planning work as part of the Carol Ed, not the Carol Ed, but the FCM initiatives as well. So to you, Stefan, and to your planning department, extend our gratitude, particularly on the proclamation of World Planning Day, but for all the work that they do day in and day out. They do a stellar job, often a very thankless job, always with deadlines, but they do great work, and it's very much appreciated by Council. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Councillor Tessier.
Just one item. Last week up in Public Council, I brought up the issue of motorized vehicles on our trailway, and I'm continuing to get complaints, particularly over in the Westminster Admiralty Wood area of motorized vehicles on trailways, although I have to say we do hear them over on the T-Railway, I guess, that particular section as well. We hear them ourselves. The question was raised by a resident: what are the legal implications if somebody were to injure a pedestrian, or if there were to be an accident or something? What are the legal implications, especially if the person is underage? So I think it's something that we probably should look at, consider, make sure the information is out there for the public to be fully aware of, because if they are liable, if the families or the parents are liable, if a young person injures somebody or gets injured themselves, I think we have to probably make that information known as well, and hopefully that will also act as a deterrent.
And Councillor Aker.
Yep. A couple things, Your Worship. I want to refer these to the planning department. I got a complaint from a lady who lives on Park Avenue related to a community mailbox that's been installed on World Crescent, and it's not the issue you think it might be. The contractor that's putting those townhouses in across from Park Place has piled up a whole bunch of crushed stone right in front of the mailboxes. She said access is impeded, so if we could possibly just give the contractor a call. It's just a matter of moving it. In fact, I don't know, maybe that crushed stone is gone now, but if they could take care of that, she would be most grateful. And what was the other thing? Yes, up off Mount Carson Avenue in the subdivision on the right-hand side going up. So as you're coming out from the Masonic, you see a construction trailer there, and it's been there now for a couple of years, and a resident has approached me and says, look, it's a white trailer, it's covered with graffiti. Now, the graffiti may have been put there since it was settled here in Mount Pearl, or it could have been on the trailer from the get-go. But his argument is that graffiti is graffiti, and of course the more you see around, the more it encourages. So I'd like to refer that to the committee as well. But if you're driving out of the Masonic Park, you can see it right straight across the street. And the prayer of his petition is that we have, I guess, the owner of the trailer cover it up and remove the trailer. And that's it, Your Worship. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a note from our Community Services Department. This past Halloween, of course, on Saturday, our Municipal Enforcement Division, in partnership with our Citizens Crime Prevention Committee here in Mount Pearl, introduced our Safety Skeleton Patrol. The event was a great success. So we had members of our Safety Skeleton Patrol team out patrolling the streets on Saturday night. They were wearing, of course, reflective safety vests and promoting safety. Certainly the parents that were out with their children appreciated our efforts. And the children enjoyed their reflectors and candy that were presented to them. So overall, the event was a great success. It was also a good opportunity to promote our Neighborhood Watch program and a safer community all over. So that was a good thing all around. Some of the areas patrolled, of course, included just the entire city, up off Topsail Road, Branscombs Pond, and Greenwood Crescent, up on Farrell Drive. They did some of the cul-de-sacs and side streets in Powers Pond, as well as over on Trafalgar Drive and Westminster Drive, that area of the city. So much of the city was covered. The event was a great success, and we certainly look forward to having it again next year.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Well, I'm just going to make a quick reference to really only two things. One, the renaming of the Sport Alliance office to the Bob Hillier Volunteer Center. Which I think was a thing that was tremendously appreciated by the family. It may have been fair to say it was probably even long overdue. We do have another center to name that I believe will happen before the end of the year. Also for a tremendous Mount Pearl volunteer and now deceased citizen and former councillor. We hope that that'll happen before the end of the year as well. And today we did have the pleasure of planting a tulip along with 41 students from Newtown Elementary. And the Little Tulip Garden is actually going to form the Canadian maple leaf. All of the red tulips are in the shape of a Canadian maple leaf, and all of the white tulips will be out around it. So we had 41 young people up there today to do that. Had a chance to speak to them about the significance of the 70-year relationship between Canada and the Netherlands through the Second World War, and about the 100,000 tulips that were sent to Ottawa originally that started this in 1945, and how Mount Pearl was the recipient of one of 140 such gardens this year. So we reminded the kids that they're going to have to come back in the spring to see how the tulips grew and have a look at their handiwork, because we're only going to do it once, and they're the only ones that are ever going to get to do it. So it's a memory that they take away with them as well. Just wanted to pass on those things. Councillor Stoyles made reference to a very special event we attended last week at the First United Church, which was the rededication of their Trinity Hall and their expansion. Tremendous piece of work that their congregation engaged in, and they described in detail the kind of effort that went into making that a success. And it continues to show that the faith community in Mount Pearl in particular continues to prosper and continues to grow. We may be a modern community, we may be a well-planned community, but there's no doubt that Mount Pearl is a church-going community, and every faith has full pews to prove it pretty well every week. So I wanted to pass all of that along. My final note is to council today, which will come as no surprise to anyone, as a result of initiatives that I've undertaken to seek office at the provincial level. I will be taking a leave of absence, which is basically a nice way of saying I'm going on vacation. I am going to be leaving the office of mayor through a leave of absence from now until November 30th. The leave of absence will actually take effect at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Deputy Mayor Locke will assume the role of acting mayor. Councillor Tessier will assume the role of acting deputy mayor. And we'll see what happens in the provincial election, obviously. And we will make determinations come November 30th on what, if anything, has to happen after that time. But for now, I will, like I say, take a leave of absence from council and council duties until November 30th. To that end, in discussions with the CAO today, I will receive from time to time, I believe, some information on what's going on big projects in the city that carry on well past November 30th, but day-to-day activity will be directed from, like my email and communications account, will be directed to the acting mayor for the month. and I never did have a parking place here, so I got a feeling, Jim, you're not getting one either. Why, it's just like that, yeah. But we served notice to media of that today, so that's why I know that you're aware of it. And good luck with the month of November. And I know that this, to some degree, is a difficult time for me to actually be leaving the post, because we're going into budget, and it is a hard time on council. Budget time. It's always tough. It's the most exciting and challenging work, though, I think, that we do as a council every year. It drives our planning agenda, or certainly it drives our planning horizon. Of that, there is no doubt. This year, as we've all experienced in the last month or two, we once again have been assailed by residents and others who feel that, the Municipal Assessment Agency has somehow, they've been hard done by. Demands there, that exist, that we lower our mill rate. The only assurances I've been able to give our taxpayers is that the City of Mount Pearl will not take more than the City of Mount Pearl needs to balance its budget and continue to progress as a community. It is to some degree kind of a pointless thing for people to think that council sits around a table and says, with the new values on properties, if we did nothing, how much money could we have and what would we do with it, like it's our money. There's a reality that I think it is fair to say all 7 of us are homeowners. We all get the same assessment. We all get hit with the same reality. So I hope that citizens are starting to get educated on how this actually works. That assessments are not determined by us. We don't tell you how much your house is worth. The market does that. And that we have to use that system to determine what our mill rate will be. We commit to always, I think it's fair to say, keep it as low as is humanly possible. That process has always been the process. I don't anticipate it's going to change this time as well. But as we go through November and council goes through December, obviously budget is the most challenging thing we do. And I'll just say to you in conclusion that being a part of that discussion and exercise is something I've always been challenged by and enjoyed as a result. I think we all have. And not being a part of it is something I'm going to miss this year. Anyway, everybody, on that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. It is moved by Councillor Aker. We stand adjourned, everyone.